Ethan Ward had everything. Millions in the bank, a picture-perfect fiancée, and a coastal mansion wedding that belonged in magazines. But when he looked out at his 200 guests and saw her standing in the back row with a little boy who had his exact face, his entire world shattered in front of everyone. He'd been told by doctors he could never father children, a secret so shameful he'd destroyed the love of his life to hide it. Now Naomi Carter was back, and the 5-year-old holding her hand was living proof that everything he believed was a lie. The ceremony collapsed, the bride fled, and Ethan had one choice: chase after the woman he abandoned 6 years ago, or lose his son forever. What happened next tore apart two families, exposed buried secrets, and forced a reckoning that would either heal old wounds or destroy what little remained. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever discovered a truth that changed everything, because this story is about to get even more complicated. The chapel stood like a crystal box against the Virginia coast. Sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows, making everything inside glow. White roses, silk ribbons, and 200 guests dressed in their finest clothes. The ocean sparkled behind them, endless and blue. Ethan Ward stood at the altar in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. His dark hair was combed back, and his jaw was tight with nerves. He was 30 years old, a self-made millionaire, and this was supposed to be the happiest day of his life. Charlotte Hayes stood across from him in a dress that cost more than most people's cars. She looked like a princess from a magazine, blonde, elegant, smiling, but her smile was careful, practiced. Ethan held the paper with his vows written on it. His hands were steady. He'd practiced these words 100 times. He opened his mouth to speak. "Charlotte, when I met you 3 years ago, I thought I'd never feel—" His voice caught. Something had moved in the crowd. A shift, a flash of color. Ethan's eyes drifted to the left, scanning the rows of guests, lawyers, business partners, Charlotte's family, his mother sitting in the front row with her pearls and her tight smile. Then he saw her, Naomi. His heart stopped, actually stopped. He forgot how to breathe. She was standing near the back, half hidden behind a tall man in a grey suit. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she wore a simple yellow dress that made her brown skin glow like honey in the sunlight. She wasn't supposed to be here. She couldn't be here, but she was. And she was holding a child's hand, a little boy, maybe 5 years old, brown skin, curly dark hair, wearing a tiny suit jacket that looked too big for his small shoulders. The boy turned his face toward the altar. Ethan's stomach dropped. The boy looked exactly like him. Same eyes, same dimples, same slight tilt to his smile. No, that's impossible. "Ethan!" Charlotte's voice was soft but urgent. "Are you okay?" He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. His throat had closed up. The guests started to murmur. A ripple of confusion moved through the crowd like wind through tall grass. The officiant, an older man with kind eyes and grey hair, leaned forward. "Mr. Ward?" Ethan's vows slipped from his hand. The paper floated down and landed on the white carpet between him and Charlotte. His voice was barely a whisper. Charlotte followed his gaze. Her face went pale when she saw where he was looking. Naomi's eyes met Ethan's across the chapel. Her expression was a mix of panic and regret. She hadn't meant to be seen. She was already moving, tugging the little boy toward the side exit. "Naomi?" Ethan whispered, but the microphone pinned to his lapel caught the word. It echoed through the speakers. Every head turned. Charlotte's hand flew to her mouth. The little boy dropped something, a toy car, and it clattered loudly on the marble floor. The sound was like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Ethan's feet moved before his brain could catch up. He stepped off the altar platform. "Ethan, wait!" Charlotte's voice cracked, but he didn't stop. "Son, you need to—" The officiant started, but Ethan was already walking down the aisle. The guests erupted into shocked whispers. Camera flashes went off like tiny fireworks. The photographers Charlotte had hired were scrambling to capture every second. Ethan's mother rose from her seat, her face twisted in horror. "Ethan Michael Ward, you stop right now!" He didn't stop. Naomi pushed open the side door and pulled the boy through it. The door started to close behind them. Ethan broke into a run. "Ethan!" Charlotte called after him, her voice breaking on his name. He burst through the door into the bright sunlight. The chapel was built on a hill, and there was a parking lot below with a view of the cliffs. Naomi was rushing toward an old blue sedan, practically dragging the little boy behind her. "Naomi, wait!" Ethan shouted. She froze. Her shoulders went rigid. The boy looked up at her, confused. "Mama, who is that man?" "Mama." The word hit Ethan like a punch to the chest. Naomi turned slowly. Her face was a mask of pain and fear. "Ethan, please, just go back inside." "Who is he?" Ethan's voice came out rough and desperate. She shook her head. "This isn't the time." "Who is he?" The boy tugged on Naomi's hand. "Mama, you're hurting my arm." Naomi immediately loosened her grip, her expression softening as she looked down at him. "I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry." Ethan took a step closer. His chest was heaving. His mind was spinning. "Naomi, I need you to tell me right now. Who is that little boy?" She looked up at Ethan with tears in her eyes. "He's my son. How old is he?" "Ethan, how old?" "5. Her voice was barely audible. "He just turned 5. Ethan did the math. 6 years ago. He and Naomi had been together 6 years ago, before everything fell apart, before he found out he was infertile, before— "That's impossible," he said, his voice shaking. "I can't have children. The doctors told me. After the accident, they said I'd never— The doctors were wrong." Naomi's words were quiet but firm. The world tilted sideways. Ethan's knees went weak. He grabbed the side of a car to steady himself. The little boy stared at him with wide, curious eyes that looked exactly like Ethan's own. Behind them, the chapel door burst open. Charlotte stood there in her wedding dress, her face streaked with tears. She looked at Ethan, then at Naomi, then at the boy. Her hand went to her throat. "Oh my God." Naomi's expression crumpled. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ruin anything. I wanted to see you one last time. I didn't think you'd notice us. We were leaving. I swear we were leaving." Charlotte's voice was hollow. "He looks just like you, Ethan." Ethan couldn't speak. His whole body was numb. The chapel door opened again. This time it was his mother, her heels clicking sharply on the stone walkway. "What on earth is going on out here?" She stopped when she saw the boy. Her face went from angry to shocked, to coldly furious in the span of 3 seconds. "Who are you?" Mrs. Ward demanded, staring at Naomi. "Nobody," Naomi said quickly. "I'm nobody. We're leaving." "Like hell you are." Mrs. Ward's voice could have frozen fire. "You crashed my son's wedding with some child you're trying to pass off as— Mother, stop." Ethan's voice was low and dangerous. Mrs. Ward's mouth snapped shut. Charlotte was crying now, silent tears rolling down her perfect makeup. "Ethan, did you know about this?" "No." The word came out strangled. "I swear, Charlotte, I had no idea." "But you knew her." It wasn't a question. Ethan looked at Naomi, really looked at her. She was older now, lines of worry around her eyes that hadn't been there before, but she was still beautiful, still the girl who had stolen his heart when they were both in college. "Yes," he said quietly, "I knew her." More guests were spilling out of the chapel now, drawn by the commotion. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that his son? Who is that woman? Did you see the resemblance?" "Oh my God." Charlotte must be devastated. Naomi's face was desperate. "I'm leaving. Right now. You'll never see us again. I promise." "No." The word burst out of Ethan before he could think. "No, you can't just leave. Watch me." She turned and scooped the boy up in her arms. He was too big to carry comfortably, but she did it anyway, hurrying toward her car. Ethan started after her, but Charlotte's voice stopped him. "Let her go." He turned. Charlotte stood there looking small and broken in her enormous dress. "Let her go, Ethan. Please." Her voice was so tired, so sad. "I think you've already made your choice." "Charlotte, I didn't know. I swear on everything It doesn't matter." She smiled, but it was the saddest smile he'd ever seen. "It doesn't matter if you knew or not. You ran after her. Not once did you look back at me." The truth of it hit him like a sledgehammer. Charlotte turned to face the crowd of guests who were now standing in an awkward cluster. She lifted her chin, gathering what was left of her dignity. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice shaking but clear, "I'm afraid the wedding has been cancelled. Thank you all for coming. Please enjoy the reception dinner as our gift to you." Gasps. More whispers. Mrs. Ward looked like she might faint. "Charlotte, sweetheart, we can fix this. Whatever this is, we can—" "No, Mrs. Ward, we can't." Charlotte looked at Ethan one more time. "I hope you find what you're looking for." She walked back into the chapel, her dress trailing behind her like a broken dream. The sky was darkening. Storm clouds were rolling in from the ocean, turning the bright afternoon into something grey and ominous. Ethan stood frozen in the parking lot, watching Naomi's blue sedan pull away. She didn't look back. The little boy's face appeared in the rear window for just a moment, before the car turned a corner and disappeared. Rain started to fall, soft at first, then harder. The guests hurried back inside to escape the sudden downpour. Ethan didn't move. He stood there getting soaked, staring at the empty road. Thunder rumbled in the distance. His mother appeared at his side with an umbrella, but she didn't hold it over him. "You've made a complete fool of yourself, of all of us." "Mother, please." "Not now. That woman is a liar. That child can't possibly be yours. You know what the doctors said." "I don't know anything anymore." "Don't be dramatic. Come inside. We need to do damage control before this becomes an even bigger disaster." Ethan turned to look at her. "The woman I was about to marry just called off our wedding, and somewhere out there is a child who might be my son. I think we're already at disaster." Mrs. Ward's face was hard. "You're not thinking clearly. You need to come inside, dry off, and let me handle this." "I don't want you to handle this." "Ethan, I need to be alone." He started walking toward his car. "Where are you going?" "I don't know." He got in his car and drove. He didn't know where he was going, but he couldn't stay at that chapel. Couldn't face the pitying looks and whispered gossip. Couldn't face Charlotte's broken heart or his mother's rage. He ended up at a hotel on the other side of town. A nice place, but not too nice. Somewhere he could think. The room was simple. White walls, generic art, a window that looked out at the rain. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, still in his wet tuxedo. He pulled out his phone and stared at it. Then he opened his photos. He had to scroll back years, but he found them. Pictures from college. Him and Naomi at a football game, both wearing school colors and laughing. Naomi in his dorm room, sitting cross-legged on his bed while studying. The two of them at the beach, her head on his shoulder as the sun set. He'd never deleted these photos. Couldn't bring himself to. They'd been so happy. Until they weren't. Until the accident. The motorcycle crash when he was 19. The surgery. The doctor's grim face when he delivered the news. Severe trauma, damaged tissue, zero chance of ever fathering children. Ethan had broken up with Naomi 2 weeks later. She'd cried and begged him to talk to her, to tell her what was wrong. But he couldn't. The shame was too big. The loss was too big. So he'd lied. Told her he didn't love her anymore. Told her they wanted different things. It had destroyed them both. But he'd been so sure he was doing the right thing. She'd always talked about wanting kids someday. A whole house full of them. How could he trap her in a childless marriage? So he'd let her go. And he'd spent 6 years trying to forget her. Ethan looked at his phone again, at the picture of Naomi smiling in the sunshine. Then he pulled up a different app. Old files. Medical records he'd saved out of some strange need to remember his loss. He read through the doctor's notes again. Severe testicular trauma. Significant reduction in sperm production. Likelihood of conception. Less than 1%. Less than 1% wasn't 0. The doctors had said it was impossible. They'd said never, but they'd been wrong. Ethan dropped the phone on the bed and put his head in his hands. He had a son. Maybe. Probably. He had a son, and he'd missed 5 years of the boy's life. Thunder boomed outside. Rain hammered against the window. Ethan sat in the dark hotel room and let himself feel the weight of it. All of it. The loss, the regret, the shock, the impossible hope rising in his chest like a wild thing. Somewhere out there, Naomi was probably comforting that little boy, telling him everything was okay, protecting him from the chaos of the day. She'd done it alone. For 5 years she'd done it alone because of him, because he'd walked away without explanation, because he'd been so certain he knew what was best. The shame of it was crushing. Ethan pulled off his wet jacket and tie. He lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he would find her. He didn't know how, but he would. He had to know the truth. And if that little boy was really his son... Ethan closed his eyes, but sleep didn't come. He spent the whole night staring into the darkness, his mind spinning with questions that had no answers yet. Across town, Naomi sat in a small motel room that smelled like old carpet and cheap soap. It was the best she could afford on short notice. Liam was asleep in the bed, his small chest rising and falling peacefully. He didn't understand what had happened today. Didn't know that his whole life might have just changed. Naomi sat in a chair by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. Her phone buzzed. It was her brother, Noah. She'd texted him an hour ago with a brief, "Need a place to stay for a few days. I'll explain later." Noah: "What happened? Are you okay?" Naomi: "I'm fine. Just need some space." Noah: "Naomi, talk to me." She didn't answer. What could she say? That she'd gone to Ethan's wedding like a fool. That she'd needed to see him one last time to say goodbye to that chapter of her life. That she'd been stupid enough to bring Liam. Her Aunt June had warned her. "Don't go to that wedding, honey. Nothing good can come from it." But Naomi hadn't listened. She'd convinced herself that seeing Ethan happy with someone else would give her closure, would finally let her move on. Instead, she'd ruined his wedding, exposed her son to a circus, put Liam at risk of getting his heart broken by a father who didn't even know he existed. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She'd worked so hard to build a good life for Liam. It wasn't fancy, but it was stable, safe. He had a home, a school he loved, friends, family. He didn't need a millionaire father who'd abandoned them, except Ethan hadn't abandoned them. He didn't know. That was the truth that kept Naomi up at night. Ethan didn't know about Liam because she'd never told him. When she found out she was pregnant 6 years ago, she'd tried to reach Ethan, called him a dozen times. He'd never answered. She'd driven to his apartment. He wasn't there. She'd sent emails. No response. Eventually she'd given up, figured he'd made his choice. She'd been hurt and angry and scared. 22 years old, pregnant, and alone. Her family had stepped in. Noah and Aunt June had helped her get through it. They'd been there when Liam was born. They'd helped with diapers and midnight feedings and all the terrifying moments of new motherhood. She'd built a life without Ethan, but now he knew. Now everything was going to change. Naomi looked over at Liam sleeping peacefully. His face was so much like Ethan's that it hurt to look at sometimes. The same strong jawline starting to show even at 5. The same way his nose wrinkled when he laughed. Her phone buzzed again. Noah, if you're in trouble, I'm coming to get you. Naomi, I'm not in trouble. Just needed a quiet night. Noah, you're lying. She put the phone down. Outside, the storm was getting worse. Lightning flashed, turning the room white for a brief second. Naomi pulled a blanket around her shoulders and kept her vigil by the window, protecting her son from a world that had suddenly become very complicated. Morning came grey and cold. The storm had passed, but it left behind clouds that made everything look washed out and tired. Ethan sat in his car outside Marcus Hale's house. Marcus was his business partner and one of the few people he actually trusted. He'd texted Marcus at 6 in the morning, "Need to talk, it's important." Marcus had responded immediately, "Come over." Now Ethan sat there trying to figure out how to explain what had happened, how to put into words the complete destruction of everything he thought he knew about his life. He finally got out of the car and walked to the door. Marcus answered before he could knock. Marcus was 35, tall and thin, with glasses and an eternally calm expression. He looked at Ethan and shook his head. "You look terrible." "Thanks. Come in. Coffee's ready." They sat in Marcus's kitchen, a bright space with plants on every surface and windows that let in the weak morning light. Marcus poured 2 mugs of coffee and sat across from Ethan. "So, your wedding?" "Yeah. Want to tell me what happened?" Ethan wrapped his hands around the warm mug. "Naomi was there." Marcus's eyebrows went up. "Naomi Carter, your ex from college." "Yeah. Okay, that's awkward, but not..." "She had a little boy with her, 5 years old." Ethan looked up, meeting Marcus's eyes. "He looks exactly like me, Marcus." "Exactly." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "You think he's yours?" "I know he's mine. I saw him. It was like looking at a picture of myself as a kid. But you can't have children. That's what the doctors said. And now? Now I don't know what's true anymore." Marcus leaned back in his chair, thinking. "What are you going to do?" "I need to find her. Do you know where she lives?" "No. She took off. I haven't heard from her in 6 years. Do you want me to help you look?" Ethan nodded. "If you can. I know it's a lot to ask, but..." "Stop. You're my friend. Of course I'll help." Marcus pulled out his laptop. "Let me see what I can find." It took an hour. Marcus was good with computers, good at finding information. He tracked down an old phone number, a previous address, social media accounts that hadn't been updated in years. Finally, he found it. A small coastal town about an hour north, a rental property in Naomi's name. "There," Marcus said, turning the laptop so Ethan could see. "That's the last known address I can find for Naomi Carter. No guarantee she's still there, but it's a start." Ethan stared at the address. "Thank you. Are you going to go there?" "Yes." "Today?" "Right now." Marcus nodded slowly. "Just be careful, okay? This is complicated. She might not want to see you." "I know. And if that little boy really is your son, you need to think about what that means. You can't just walk into their lives and..." "I know, Marcus. I know." Ethan stood up. "But I have to try." He drove north with his heart pounding. The town was small and pretty, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Sailboats bobbed in the harbor. The smell of salt and fish hung in the air. He found the address easily. A small house with blue shutters and a garden that needed weeding. An old car was parked in the driveway. Not the same blue sedan from yesterday. This one was even older, a station wagon with a dent in the back bumper. Ethan sat in his car for 10 minutes, trying to decide what to say. Finally, he got out and walked to the door. He knocked. Nothing. He knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. He was about to leave when a voice called out from the side yard. "She's not home." Ethan turned. An older black woman stood there with a watering can, tending to a patch of vegetables. She was maybe 60, with grey streaks in her hair and a kind but guarded expression. "How do you know when she'll be back?" Ethan asked. The woman looked him up and down. "Depends on who's asking. I'm a friend." "She doesn't have many friends who drive cars like that." The woman nodded toward Ethan's expensive vehicle. Ethan felt his face flush. "We knew each other a long time ago." "Uh-huh." The woman set down her watering can and walked closer. "You got a name?" "Ethan. Ethan Ward." Recognition flashed across her face, followed quickly by something harder. Anger, maybe. Or disappointment. "So you're him," she said quietly. "You know who I am?" "I know enough." She crossed her arms. "Why are you here?" "I need to talk to Naomi." About something private." The woman laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Private, right. I saw the news this morning, pictures of you running out of your own wedding. Your face was on 3 different websites. So was Naomi's, and my great-nephew's." Ethan felt sick. "The press found them?" "Found them? Honey, they camped out here last night. Had to call the police to make them leave." "Oh God." "Yeah. Oh God is right." The woman's expression softened just a little. "Look, I don't know what you want, but Naomi and Liam don't need any more drama in their lives. They're good people. They've got a nice quiet life here. I don't want to cause drama. I just need to talk to her." "About what?" "About the son you didn't know you had until yesterday." Ethan flinched. "Yes." The woman studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "She's at the school. Dropped Liam off this morning and stayed to help the teacher set up for an art project. Should be back in an hour or so." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. If you hurt either one of them, you'll have me to answer to. And trust me, I'm scarier than I look." Ethan believed her. "I'll wait." "You do that." She went back to her gardening, but Ethan could feel her watching him as he returned to his car. He waited. 40 minutes. 50. An hour. Finally, the old station wagon pulled into the driveway. Naomi got out carrying a bag of groceries. She was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Her hair was in a ponytail. She looked tired. She froze when she saw Ethan's car. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Ethan got out slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a wild animal that might bolt. "Naomi." She stood there, bag of groceries in her arms, eyes wide. "You found me. I had help." "Of course you did." She laughed bitterly. "Money can find anything, right?" "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Ethan? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you ruined your wedding and now you're here to—" "What? Ruin my life too?" "I need to talk to you." "We don't have anything to talk about." "Yes, we do." "No." She walked toward her front door. "You need to leave. Naomi, please." She stopped at the door, her back to him. Her shoulders were shaking. "Please," he said again, softer. "Just 10 minutes, that's all I'm asking." She turned. There were tears on her face. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to walk back into my life after 6 years and act like you have any right to answers." I know I don't have any rights, but that little boy, his name is Liam." "Liam." Ethan tasted the name. "Is he mine?" Naomi's face crumpled. She set down the groceries and wrapped her arms around herself. "What do you think?" "I think the doctors told me I could never have children. I think I broke up with you because I didn't want to trap you in a childless marriage. I think I've spent 6 years believing I was doing the right thing." His voice cracked. "And I think yesterday I saw a little boy who has my eyes." "The doctors were wrong," Naomi whispered. "So he is mine?" "Yes." The word came out like a confession. "Yes, Ethan. Liam is your son." The world stopped. Everything, the sound of the ocean, the birds chirping, the old woman watering her garden, it all faded away until there was only this moment, this truth. "I have a son," Ethan said, mostly to himself. "Had," Naomi corrected, her voice hard again. "You had a son. Past tense. You gave up that right when you walked away from me without a word. I tried to protect you. By breaking my heart? By disappearing? You thought wrong." She picked up her groceries again. "I need you to leave now. Naomi, please, just let me meet him. Let me talk to him for 5 minutes. He doesn't know who you are. Then introduce me. Tell him I'm an old friend." "You want me to lie to my son? Just until we figure this out." Naomi looked at him for a long time. The anger in her eyes slowly shifted into something else. Exhaustion, resignation. 10 minutes, she finally said. That's it. And if he gets upset, you leave immediately. I promise. She unlocked her door and let him follow her inside. The house was small but cozy. Toys scattered on the living room floor. Pictures on the walls, most of them featuring Liam at different ages. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and coffee. It felt like a home, a real home, full of life and love. He'll be home from school in about an hour, Naomi said, setting the groceries on the counter. You can wait in the living room. Ethan nodded and sat on the couch. His hands were shaking. Naomi made tea neither of them would drink, just to have something to do with her hands. The silence between them was heavy with 6 years of hurt and unanswered questions. Finally, Naomi spoke. Why didn't you tell me about the accident, about what the doctors said? I didn't want you to stay out of pity. So you made the decision for both of us. Yes, that wasn't fair. I know. You broke my heart. I know that too. She sat down across from him, holding her mug of tea. I tried to reach you when I found out I was pregnant. I called and called. You never answered. Guilt twisted in his chest. I changed my number. I thought it would be easier if we had a clean break. Easier for who? He had no answer for that. They sat in uncomfortable silence until they heard the sound of a school bus outside. A minute later, the front door burst open and Liam ran in, backpack bouncing. Mama, guess what? Mrs. Patterson said my painting was the best in the whole class and... He stopped when he saw Ethan. His smile faded into uncertainty. Liam, baby, we have a guest, Naomi said gently. This is Mr. Ward. He's, an old friend of Mama's. Liam stared at Ethan with those familiar eyes. Hi, Liam. Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. Your mom tells me you're a great artist. Liam nodded slowly. He looked at his mother, confused. Why don't you show Mr. Ward your painting? Naomi suggested. Liam hesitated, then carefully pulled a piece of paper from his backpack. It was a painting of the ocean, blue and green swirls with a yellow sun. It's beautiful, Ethan said, and he meant it. You're really talented. Thanks. Liam still looked uncertain. Ethan noticed the dimples when the boy gave a small, shy smile. The same dimples Ethan saw in the mirror every day. His son. This was his son. The moment was so big Ethan couldn't breathe. Are you okay, mister? Liam asked. You look sad. Ethan laughed, but it came out choked. No, I'm not sad. He looked at Naomi, then back at Liam. I'm really happy to meet you. Naomi stood up quickly. Okay, Liam. Why don't you go change out of your school clothes? Mr. Ward was just leaving. But I just got here, Liam protested. I know, baby, but Mr. Ward has things to do. Ethan stood slowly. He looked at Liam one more time, trying to memorize everything. The way his hair curled at his neck, the gap between his front teeth, the small scar on his chin. It was nice to meet you, Liam, Ethan said. You too, Mr. Ward. Naomi walked Ethan to the door. On the porch, she turned to him with tired eyes. Now you know, she said simply. Now I know, Ethan agreed. He looked back toward the house. Naomi, I want to be part of his life. Ethan, I know I have no right to ask, but please, let me try. She shook her head. I need to think about what's best for Liam, not what's best for you or me, just Liam. I understand. Do you? Because one day, you might get bored of playing dad. You might decide it's too hard or too complicated. And then what? Then Liam's the one who gets hurt. I won't do that. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Ethan's voice was firm. He's my son, Naomi. I missed his first 5 years. I won't miss any more. She studied his face, searching for something. Truth, maybe, or certainty. I'll think about it, she finally said. Thank you. She went inside and closed the door gently but firmly. Ethan stood on the porch for a moment, then walked back to his car. The older woman, he still didn't know her name, was standing in her yard again. She gave him a small nod. Not approval exactly, but not complete condemnation either. It was a start. As Ethan drove away, he looked in his rearview mirror and saw Liam's face appear in the window, watching him leave. His son. Ethan whispered the words to himself like a prayer. My son. Everything had changed in 24 hours. His wedding was cancelled. His life was in shambles. The press was probably tearing him apart online, but none of that mattered, because he had a son. And somehow, some way, he was going to make this right. Ethan spent that night in a small inn near the harbour. He couldn't go home. Home meant facing his mother's anger and Charlotte's hurt. Home meant reporters camped outside his gate and phones ringing with questions he couldn't answer. Here, in this quiet coastal town, he could think. He lay in bed staring at his phone. 3 missed calls from his mother, 7 from his PR team, 12 texts from various business associates asking if he was okay. He ignored them all. Instead, he looked at photos from earlier that day. He'd taken one picture when Liam wasn't looking, just a quick shot of the boy standing in the doorway, backpack still on his shoulders. Ethan zoomed in on his son's face. His son. The words still felt impossible. He barely slept. When morning light finally crept through the window, he got up and showered, put on jeans and a plain t-shirt. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. Yesterday, he'd been a millionaire groom in a custom tuxedo. Today, he was just a father trying to figure out how to be part of his son's life. The transformation felt right. He drove into town and found a small diner near the water, the kind of place with worn booths and coffee that came in thick white mugs. The waitress called everyone Hon and knew most customers by name. Ethan sat by the window and ordered coffee. Black. He was on his second cup when he saw her. Naomi walked through the door wearing an apron over her jeans and t-shirt. She tied her hair back with a quick, practiced motion and said something to the older woman behind the counter that made them both laugh. She worked here. Of course she did. He'd seen the small house, the old car. Whatever money she made, it wasn't much. She was working to support herself and Liam. While Ethan had been building his business empire, Naomi had been serving coffee and raising their son alone. The guilt hit him like a wave. Naomi glanced toward the window booths and froze when she saw him. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then she walked over, notepad in hand, face carefully neutral. "What are you doing here?" "Having coffee." "Ethan, can we talk? Just for a minute?" She glanced around. The diner was mostly empty. A few early morning regulars, an old man reading the newspaper, a young couple sharing pancakes. "I'm working," she said. "I know. I can wait until your break." "I don't have a break for 2 hours." "That's fine." She shook her head. "You're unbelievable." "I just want to talk, Naomi, that's all. You can't keep showing up like this. You can't just decide you want to be involved and expect everything to fall into place." "I know that. Do you?" Her voice was sharp but quiet. "Because it seems like you think you can throw money around and fix everything. That's not how this works. I'm not trying to throw money around, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to—" He stopped, searching for the right words. "I'm trying to figure out how to be a father." Something in her expression softened, just a little. "Your usual Mr. Peterson?" She called to the old man with the newspaper. "You know it, Naomi girl." She walked away to pour his coffee. Ethan watched her move through the diner with easy confidence. She knew this place, these people. This was her world, and he was an intruder. She came back 20 minutes later. "My manager said I can take 15 minutes. They walked outside to a bench overlooking the harbor. Boats rocked gently in the water. Seagulls called overhead. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, "for showing up at your work, for yesterday, for all of it." Naomi sat down, keeping distance between them. "You said that already. I'll probably say it a lot more." She almost smiled. "Almost. What do you want, Ethan?" "To be part of Liam's life." "You keep saying that. But what does it mean? Visits on weekends, birthday cards? Or are you going to swoop in and try to take him from me?" "What?" "No, Naomi, I would never—" "I don't know what you would do. I haven't known you for 6 years." The truth of it sat heavy between them. "I want to get to know him," Ethan said carefully. "I want him to know me. I don't have a plan beyond that. I just know I can't walk away." "Why not? You did it once before." The words were like a slap. Ethan looked out at the water. "When I broke up with you, I thought I was doing the right thing. The doctors told me I was infertile. You always talked about wanting a big family. I couldn't give you that, so I let you go, without telling me why. I was 19, stupid, ashamed." He turned to face her. "I thought I was being noble. Turns out I was just a coward." Naomi's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I loved you. I would have stayed even if we couldn't have kids. That should have been my choice." "I know. You broke my heart. I know that too." They sat in silence. A fishing boat chugged past, leaving a white wake behind it. "When I found out I was pregnant," Naomi said quietly, "I was terrified. I tried to call you, over and over. You never answered. I changed my number. I figured that out eventually. I thought about tracking you down, but—" She shrugged. "I was hurt, angry. And you'd made it pretty clear you didn't want me in your life anymore. I was wrong." "Yeah, you were." She wiped her eyes. "But I made choices too. I could have tried harder to find you. Could have shown up at your door like you showed up at mine. I didn't. I convinced myself that Liam and I were better off without you. Were you? Better off? She thought about it. We had a good life. We still do. It's not fancy, but it's ours. Liam's happy. He's got family, friends, a routine. He doesn't know anything's missing, but something is missing. Maybe. She looked at him. Or maybe you showing up is going to break something that was working just fine. Is that what you think? I don't know what I think anymore. Her break was ending. She stood up, smoothing her apron. I need to get back. Can I see him again? Liam? She hesitated. He asked about you last night. Wanted to know why you looked so sad. What did you tell him? That you were an old friend going through a hard time. She started walking back toward the diner, then stopped and turned around. There's a community fair tomorrow, at the park by the school. Liam and I will be there around noon. If you happen to be there too. She trailed off. Thank you. She nodded and went inside. Ethan sat on the bench a while longer, watching the boats and feeling something unfamiliar bloom in his chest. Hope. His phone buzzed. His mother. Again. He answered this time. Hello, Mother. Finally. Her voice was ice. Do you have any idea what's happening? The press is having a field day. Your face is on every gossip website. Charlotte's family is threatening legal action. Legal action for what? Emotional distress. Humiliation. They're talking about the money they spent on the wedding. I'll write them a check. That's not the point, Ethan. The point is, you've created a scandal that's damaging our reputation. The ward name means something. I know what it means, old money, country clubs, people who care more about appearance than truth. Don't you dare speak to me that way. I raised you better than this. Did you? Ethan stood up and started walking toward his car. Because you taught me that image is everything, that we protect the family name at all costs. That's why I'm so good at lying, Mother. I learned from the best. Silence on the other end. I have a son, Ethan continued, his voice quieter now. His name is Liam, he's 5 years old, and I'm going to be part of his life. That woman is lying, trying to trap you for your money. Stop! The word came out hard. I've seen him, Mother. He looks exactly like me. And even if he didn't, I would believe Naomi. She's not a liar. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I knew her, really knew her. She's one of the most honest people I've ever met. She was a college fling, Ethan. A phase. You moved on. She was the woman I loved, and I was too stupid and scared to fight for her. His mother's voice went very quiet. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm not coming home. Not yet. I'm staying here to figure things out. And your business. Your responsibilities. Marcus can handle things for a few days. Ethan Michael Ward, if you throw your life away for some fantasy of playing house with... He hung up. His hands were shaking, but it felt good. For the first time in years, he'd stood up to his mother. He got in his car and drove back to the inn. He had a community fair to prepare for. The next day was bright and clear. Perfect, fair weather. Ethan arrived at the park early and spent a few minutes just watching. There were game booths and food stands, kids running around with painted faces, parents chasing after toddlers. The smell of popcorn and hot dogs hung in the air. It felt like a different world from the one he usually lived in. No fancy galas, no business deals over expensive wine, just regular people having a regular Saturday. He spotted Naomi near the face-painting booth. She was helping to set up, carrying boxes of supplies. Liam was already there, bouncing on his toes with excitement. Ethan bought a bag of tokens for the game booths. Then he took a deep breath and walked over. Liam saw him first. Mr. Ward, you're here. Naomi turned, surprised but not angry. She'd known he might come. She'd invited him in her own careful way. Hi, Liam. Hi, Naomi. Hi. Naomi's greeting was neutral, watchful. What are you doing here? Liam asked. Do you have kids too? The question was innocent. It still hit like a punch. No, I just heard about the fair and wanted to check it out. Oh, you should play the ring toss. It's really hard, but I almost won last year. Maybe you could show me how. Liam's face lit up. He looked at his mother for permission. Naomi hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but stay where I can see you. We will, Mama. Liam grabbed Ethan's hand without thinking. The touch of his son's small hand in his made Ethan's throat tight. They walked to the ring toss booth together. Ethan bought a round of rings for each of them. You gotta throw it just right, Liam explained seriously. Not too hard, not too soft. Watch. He threw his ring. It bounced off a bottle and clattered to the ground. See? That was too hard. Ethan smiled. Can I try? Yeah. Ethan tossed his ring. It landed perfectly around a bottleneck. Liam's eyes went huge. Whoa, you're really good. Beginner's luck. They played for 20 minutes. Ethan won a stuffed dolphin and gave it to Liam, who hugged it like it was made of gold. This is the best toy ever, Liam declared. Can we get our faces painted now? I don't know if Mr. Ward wants... Please? You can be a tiger like me. Ethan laughed. Okay, I'll be a tiger. They sat side by side at the face painting booth. Naomi was helping the volunteer painter, so she watched the whole thing. Watched her son and his father sitting together, getting matching tiger stripes painted on their faces. Liam chattered the entire time. About school, about his best friend Tyler, about the cool rock he found at the beach, about how he wanted to be a marine biologist when he grew up. That's a big word, Ethan said. It means someone who studies ocean animals. Aunt June taught me. Aunt June sounds smart. She is, she knows everything. Liam looked at his reflection in the small mirror the painter offered. Awesome. Look, Mama, I'm a tiger. Naomi smiled, but her eyes were uncertain. You look very fierce. Mr. Ward looks fierce too. We match. They did match. Same tiger stripes, same smile, same dimples. Everyone could see it. The other parents were whispering, putting pieces together. Some had probably seen the news coverage. Naomi's jaw tightened. Why don't we go get some lunch? She suggested. They found a spot under a tree, away from the crowds. Naomi had packed sandwiches and fruit. She handed Liam his lunch and sat down on the grass. Ethan sat too, careful to keep some distance. Liam ate his sandwich in about 4 bites, then announced, I'm gonna go play on the swings. Stay where I can see you, Naomi called after him. I will. He ran off, still clutching his stuffed dolphin. Ethan and Naomi sat in silence, watching Liam pump his legs on the swing going higher and higher. Thank you, Ethan said, for letting me come today. He likes you. I like him too. He's amazing, Naomi. You did an incredible job raising him. She pulled at the grass. It wasn't always easy. I wish I could have been there. Yeah, me too. They watched Liam jump off the swing at the top of the arc, landing with his arms up like a gymnast. He was laughing. He's so happy, Ethan said. He is. And that's what scares me. Naomi finally looked at him. What happens when you go back to your life, your business, your world? What happens to Liam then? I'm not going anywhere. You say that now, but you have responsibilities. A company to run. Your life isn't here. Maybe it could be. She shook her head. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. Ethan leaned forward. I know this is complicated. I know I have no right to ask for anything. But I'm asking anyway. Let me be part of this. Let me learn how to be Liam's father. It's not that simple. I know. He's going to have questions. Eventually, he's going to want to know who you really are. Then we'll tell him the truth. And what is the truth, Ethan? That you're his father. That you didn't know about him because I never told you. That you walked away from me 6 years ago. All of it. Whatever he needs to know. Naomi looked at him for a long time. You hurt me so badly. I don't know if I can trust you again. I understand. And I definitely don't know if I can trust you with Liam's heart. I will never hurt him. I swear on everything I have. Promises are easy. Keeping them is hard. Before Ethan could respond, a voice called out, Well, well, isn't this cozy? They both turned. A woman in her 50s stood there, dressed in clothes that screamed money. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. Everything about her was hard and sharp. Ethan stood up quickly. Mother! Mrs. Ward's eyes swept over the scene. The picnic blanket. Naomi on the grass. Liam playing in the distance with tiger stripes still on his face. So this is where you've been hiding. I'm not hiding. I'm making a fool of yourself? Yes, I can see that. She turned her attention to Naomi. And you must be the woman causing all this trouble. Naomi stood up too, meeting Mrs. Ward's gaze without flinching. My name is Naomi Carter. I know who you are. I know everything about you. Small-town waitress dropped out of college, living paycheck to paycheck. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. How convenient that you suddenly remember my son after he becomes successful. Mother, that's enough. No, Ethan, it's not nearly enough. Mrs. Ward opened her purse and pulled out an envelope. She held it out to Naomi. There's a check in here. More money than you'd make in 5 years. Take it. Go somewhere far away. Let my son live his life. Naomi stared at the envelope like it was a snake. You're trying to buy me off? I'm trying to protect my son from a mistake. I'm not a mistake. Naomi's voice was steady but cold. And neither is Liam. That boy is not my grandson. Yes, he is. Ethan moved to stand beside Naomi. And if you can't accept that, then you and I have nothing more to say to each other." Mrs. Ward's face went red. "You would choose them over your own mother?" "I'm choosing the truth, something you've never been very good at. How dare you? How dare I? How dare you show up here and try to pay off the mother of my child? How dare you insult Naomi? She's twice the person you've ever been." Mrs. Ward looked like she'd been slapped. Liam had stopped playing and was watching them from the swings, confused and worried. Naomi touched Ethan's arm. "Your son is watching." Ethan took a breath and forced himself to calm down. "You need to leave, Mother." "If I leave, I'm cutting you off. No more money, no more family support. You'll be on your own." "Good." Mrs. Ward's mouth opened and closed. She clearly hadn't expected that answer. "I'd rather lose your fortune than my son," Ethan said quietly. "If you can't understand that, then you're not the mother I thought you were." She turned and walked away, her heels clicking on the pavement. She didn't look back. Ethan's hands were shaking. Naomi was looking at him with an expression he couldn't read. Surprise, maybe. Or respect. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "Yes, I did." Liam ran over. "Mama, who was that lady? Why was she yelling?" Naomi knelt down to his level. "Just someone who made a mistake, baby. It's okay now." She seemed mean. "Sometimes grown-ups don't know how to be nice, but we don't have to worry about it." She looked up at Ethan. "Do we?" "No," Ethan said firmly. "We don't." The rest of the afternoon passed in a strange, fragile peace. They played more games, ate too much cotton candy, watched Liam win a goldfish in a ping-pong ball toss. As the sun started to set, Naomi said it was time to go home. "Can Mr. Ward come with us?" Liam asked. "Oh, I don't think—" "Please, Mama. He can meet Aunt June. She makes the best cookies." Naomi looked at Ethan. He could see the war in her eyes. Protection versus possibility. Fear versus hope. "Just for an hour," Ethan said quietly. "Then I'll go." She nodded slowly. "Okay, just for an hour." They drove in separate cars to a house on the edge of town, bigger than Naomi's place, with a wide porch and flowers everywhere. Aunt June was waiting on the porch swing. She stood when they pulled up. A tall, elegant woman with silver hair and sharp eyes that saw everything. "So you're Ethan," she said. "Yes, ma'am." "Aunt June, Mr. Ward won me a dolphin." Liam held up his prize. "I can see that. It's very nice." She looked at Ethan. "You coming in, or are you going to stand in the driveway all night?" I'd like to come in, if that's okay. It's my house. I'll decide what's okay." She turned and walked inside. "Wipe your feet." Naomi gave Ethan a look that said, "You asked for this," and followed her aunt. Dinner was pot roast and vegetables. Simple food, perfectly made. They sat around a worn wooden table that had probably hosted 1,000 family meals. Aunt June asked Ethan questions. Where he grew up, what he did for work, why he walked away from Naomi 6 years ago. That last one hung in the air like smoke. "I was told I couldn't have children," Ethan said carefully, aware that Liam was at the table. "I didn't want to trap Naomi in a future without kids. So you decided for her?" "Yes, ma'am. I was wrong." "Yes, you were." Aunt June passed him the potatoes. "But at least you can admit it. That's something." After dinner, Liam asked Ethan to read him a story. Naomi looked like she might say no, but Aunt June nodded. "Go on. Let the man read to his—" She caught herself. "Let him read a story." They sat on the couch, Liam tucked against Ethan's side like it was the most natural thing in the world. The book was about a whale who wanted to see the stars. Ethan's voice caught on almost every page. This was what he'd missed. Bedtime stories, small hands holding his, the weight of his child's head against his shoulder. When the story ended, Liam yawned. "That was good. You're a good reader, Mr. Ward." "Thank you. Will you come back tomorrow?" Ethan looked at Naomi. She was watching from the doorway, arms crossed, face unreadable. "We'll see," she said softly. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. That night, after Liam was asleep and Ethan had said his goodbyes, Naomi walked him to his car. The night was cool. Stars scattered across the black sky like diamonds. "Thank you," Ethan said, "for today, for dinner, for letting me read to him. He really likes you. I really like him too." They stood in the driveway, not quite friends, not quite enemies. Something in between. "What your mother said," Naomi started. "About the money." "Ignore her. She doesn't speak for me." "I know, but it made me think." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I don't want your money, Ethan. I never did. That's not why I went to your wedding." "Why did you go?" She laughed sadly. "Closure, I guess. I thought seeing you marry someone else would finally let me move on." "Did it work?" "No." She looked up at him. "But then you ran after me and everything got complicated again. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing, it doesn't change anything. They were quiet for a moment. What happens now? Ethan asked. I don't know. I need time to think, to figure out what's best for Liam. Okay. But, she hesitated, you can come back. Not tomorrow, but maybe next weekend. We'll see how it goes. It was more than he'd hoped for. Thank you, Naomi. She nodded and went back inside. Ethan sat in his car for a long time before driving back to the inn. He thought about Liam's laugh, about the way it felt to read him a story, about Naomi's careful trust starting to crack open, just a little. It wasn't everything, but it was a beginning. The week passed slowly. Ethan stayed at the inn, working remotely when he could. Marcus kept the business running and only called when absolutely necessary. Ethan's mother didn't call at all. The silence felt like a wall between them, but he didn't try to break it down. Not yet. Charlotte sent a single text message. I hope you find what you're looking for. He wrote back, I'm sorry. You deserved better. She didn't respond, and he didn't blame her. On Wednesday, Naomi texted him. Just 2 words. Friday evening. He stared at those words for a full minute before responding. Yes, what time? 6 o'clock. Meet us at the pier. Friday took forever to arrive. When it finally did, Ethan showed up 15 minutes early. He wore jeans and a simple blue shirt. No fancy clothes, no millionaire image, just him. Naomi and Liam arrived right at 6. Liam ran ahead, still carrying the stuffed dolphin everywhere. Mr. Ward, we're going to watch the sunset. That sounds perfect. They walked along the pier together. Other families were doing the same thing. Couples holding hands, kids chasing seagulls, elderly people sitting on benches feeding bread to the fish. It felt normal, peaceful. Liam walked between them, holding both their hands. He swung their arms as he walked, humming a song from school. Ethan caught Naomi's eye over Liam's head. She gave him a small smile. Careful, guarded, but real. They reached the end of the pier where the water stretched out forever. The sun was starting to dip toward the horizon, painting everything gold and pink. Mama, can I go look at the boats? Liam pointed to where several fishing vessels were tied up. Stay where I can see you. I will. He ran off, dolphin tucked under his arm. Ethan and Naomi leaned against the railing, watching the sunset in silence. He talks about you constantly, Naomi said after a while. Mr. Ward this, Mr. Ward that. You made quite an impression. He's an easy kid to love. Yeah, he is. She picked at a splinter in the wooden railing. He asked me yesterday if you were going to be his new daddy. Ethan's heart stopped. What did you tell him? I told him it was complicated, that grown-up relationships take time. She looked at him. He asked if you were going away like his goldfish did, the one from the fair. It died on Tuesday. He was heartbroken. The implication hit hard. Don't be like the goldfish. Don't die on him. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan said firmly. You keep saying that? Because it's true. Is it? She turned to face him fully. Your life is an hour away. You have a company to run. Eventually you'll get tired of driving here. You'll get busy. The visits will get further apart until they just stop. That won't happen. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Ethan's voice was passionate now. Naomi, I missed 5 years of my son's life. I missed his first word, his first step, his first day of school. I missed everything. I'm not missing anymore. But what about your business, your life? I'll figure it out. Marcus can handle more of the day-to-day operations. I can work remotely for a lot of it. And the stuff I can't, he shrugged. It's just business. Liam is my son. Naomi was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was soft. Why did you really break up with me? The question hung between them like a bridge. Cross it or turn back? Ethan chose to cross it. I was 19 and stupid. The doctors told me I'd never have kids. You used to talk about the future, the house full of children, family dinners, all of it. I couldn't give you that. He stared out at the water. I thought if I let you go, you could find someone who could give you everything you wanted. But you didn't ask me what I wanted. No, you just decided, made the choice for both of us. Yeah, that really hurt, Ethan, not knowing why, thinking you just stopped loving me. I never stopped. The words came out raw. Not for one single day. She looked at him, eyes shining with tears. Then why didn't you fight for me? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Pride, shame, fear. He laughed bitterly. Take your pick. I was a coward. Yes, you were. The honesty of it stung, but he deserved it. I'm sorry, he said, for all of it, for breaking your heart, for the years you raised Liam alone, for not being there when you needed me. I tried to call you. When I found out I was pregnant, I tried so hard. I know, Naomi, Stop apologizing. She wiped her eyes. I'm tired of apologies. I want to know what happens now. What do you really want? Honestly, yes. I want to be part of Liam's life. I want to know him. Watch him grow up. Be there for school plays and scraped knees and all the normal dad stuff. He paused. And I want to know you again too. As friends? As whatever you'll let me be. Naomi looked back toward where Liam was crouched by the water, watching fish swim. It's not just about what I want. It's about what's best for him. I know. If you're going to be in his life, really in his life, then we need to tell him the truth. Eventually. Okay. Not yet. He's too young to understand all of it. But soon. She turned back to Ethan. And if we do this, you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't make promises you can't keep. To me or to him. If you're not sure you can show up, don't say you will. If you need to cancel, give us warning. Just be honest. That's all I'm asking. I can do that. Can you? Because the Ethan I knew 6 years ago wasn't very good at honesty. The words hurt, but they were fair. I'm trying to be better, Ethan said quietly. I know I have to earn your trust, both of you. I'm willing to do the work. Naomi studied his face for a long time. Then she nodded. Okay, we'll try this. Slowly. Slowly, he agreed. Liam came running back, breathless and excited. I saw a crab. It was huge. Well, not huge, but bigger than my hand. That's pretty big, Ethan said seriously. Do crabs have daddies? The question came out of nowhere. Naomi tensed. Yeah, they do, Ethan answered carefully. Do the daddies live with them? Sometimes. Sometimes they live in different places, but they still take care of their babies. Liam thought about this. Like military dads? Kind of like that. Oh. Okay. He seemed satisfied with the answer and went back to watching the water. The sun was almost gone now, just a sliver of gold on the horizon. The sky was layered with pink and orange and purple. It's beautiful, Naomi said softly. Yeah, Ethan agreed. But he wasn't looking at the sunset. He was looking at her. She caught him staring and looked away, but he saw the small smile on her lips. They walked back down the pier together as the light faded. Liam held both their hands again, chattering about crabs and fish and how he wanted to be a marine biologist even more now. When they reached the parking lot, Liam yawned. I'm sleepy, Mama. I bet you are. It's past your bedtime. Can Mr. Ward come over again? Maybe this weekend? Naomi looked at Ethan. Maybe. We'll see. That means yes, Liam whispered loudly to Ethan. When Mama says we'll see, it usually means yes. Ethan laughed. Good to know. After they said goodbye and drove away, Ethan sat in his car feeling lighter than he had in days. Years, maybe. Hope. That's what this feeling was. He drove back to the inn with the windows down, breathing in the salt air and thinking about second chances. The next morning, Ethan met Marcus for coffee at a cafe in the city. It was time to face his old life, at least for a few hours. Marcus looked tired. You have any idea how many phone calls I've fielded this week? I'm sorry. I know I left you with a mess. It's fine, that's what partners do. Marcus stirred his coffee. But we need to talk about the business. The Hartwell deal is falling apart. They're nervous about the publicity, wondering if you're stable enough to lead the company. Are you wondering the same thing? No, but I need to know what your plan is. Are you coming back? Are you stepping down? Are you going to try to run the company from a coastal town an hour away? Ethan had been thinking about this all week. I'm not stepping down, but I am restructuring. You'll handle more of the day-to-day operations. I'll focus on the big picture stuff and work remotely as much as possible. And when you need to be in the office, I'll be there. But my priority is Liam now. The business comes second. Marcus nodded slowly. I can work with that. But Ethan? Yeah? Make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. Don't throw away everything you built just because you feel guilty. It's not guilt. It's about being a father. Okay, just make sure you're thinking clearly. That's all I'm saying. They talked business for another hour, which clients needed attention, which deals could wait, how to handle the media attention. By the time Ethan left, he felt more settled. His life wasn't falling apart. It was just changing shape. He drove back to the coastal town and stopped at the diner where Naomi worked. She wasn't on shift, but he left a note with the older woman at the counter. Thank you for last night. It meant everything. He's simple, honest, true. He was about to leave when his phone rang, a number he didn't recognize. Hello? Mr. Ward? This is Jenny Patterson, Liam's kindergarten teacher. His heart jumped. Is Liam okay? Oh yes, he's fine. I'm calling because we're having a parent breakfast this Monday morning. The children have been working on a special project, and we'd love for families to come see. Naomi already confirmed she'll be there, and Liam mentioned you might want to come too. A parent breakfast at his son's school. I'll be there, Ethan said. What time? 8:30. It's just a casual thing. Muffins and juice, and the kids show off their art projects. I'll be there, he said again. After he hung up, he sat in his car grinning like an idiot. A parent breakfast. Such a small, normal thing. But it felt huge. He texted Naomi. Mrs. Patterson called about the parent breakfast. Is it okay if I come? The response came 5 minutes later. Liam asked her to invite you. So yes. Thank you. Don't make him wait by the door looking for you. The message was half warning, half joke. But Ethan heard what she wasn't saying. Don't disappoint him. I won't. I promise. Monday morning, Ethan showed up at the school at 8:20. He'd barely slept, nervous like he was the one going to kindergarten. The classroom was bright and cheerful, with children's artwork covering every wall. Small tables were set up with muffins and orange juice. Parents clustered in groups, talking and laughing. Liam spotted Ethan immediately. Mr. Ward, you came. Of course I came. Liam grabbed his hand and dragged him over to where Naomi stood talking to another mother. She looked surprised to see him so early. You're here, she said. I didn't want to be late. Mama, can I show Mr. Ward my project? Sure, baby. Liam pulled Ethan over to a wall covered in drawings. He pointed to one that showed 3 stick figures holding hands. 2 tall, 1 small. That's my family, Liam announced proudly. That's me, that's Mama, and that's Aunt June. It's really good, Ethan said, ignoring the ache in his chest. He wasn't in the picture. Of course he wasn't. He was just Mr. Ward, an old friend. I'm going to make another one and put you in it, Liam said, like he could read Ethan's thoughts. Because you're my friend too now. Friend. It was something. It was more than he'd had a week ago. The teacher called everyone to attention, and the kids performed a song about the ocean. Liam sang loudly and off-key, beaming the whole time. Ethan's chest felt so full it might burst. After the breakfast, parents started to leave. Ethan hung back, not sure if he should go or stay. Naomi walked over. That was nice of you to come. I wouldn't have missed it. He was really excited you'd be here. I was excited too. They stood there, awkward and unsure, until Liam came running over. Mama, Tyler's mom says they're going to the beach this afternoon. Can I go, please? Naomi hesitated. I have to work until 3. I can watch him, Ethan said. Both Naomi and Liam turned to stare at him. What? Naomi asked. I can watch him. If you're comfortable with that, we could go to the beach or the park or just hang out, whatever you want. Naomi's face went through several emotions: surprise, uncertainty, fear, and finally something that might have been relief. Mama, please, Mr. Ward is fun. I don't know. I'll keep my phone on the whole time, Ethan said quickly. You can call whenever you want, and we'll only go places you approve. I just thought, if you need help, I'm here. Naomi looked at Liam's hopeful face, then at Ethan's sincere one. Okay, she said finally, but you need to text me every hour, and Liam, you have to listen to Mr. Ward. No running off. I promise. And be home by 3:30. I'll be done with work by then. We will, Ethan said. 20 minutes later, Ethan was driving down the coast with Liam buckled in the back seat. His son, in his car. It felt surreal and perfect all at once. Can we go to the beach with the big rocks? Liam asked. Mama doesn't like to go there because she says it's too far, but it's the best beach. If your mom says it's okay. Ethan called Naomi and got permission. The beach was beautiful. A stretch of sand with large, smooth rocks, perfect for climbing. They spent hours there building sandcastles, looking for shells, skipping stones across the waves. Ethan taught Liam how to skip stones properly. You gotta make it flat, like this. His stone skipped 4 times. Liam tried. His stone plunked straight down. I can't do it. Sure you can, it just takes practice. Try again. They practiced for 20 minutes until Liam finally got 1 skip. I did it. He jumped up and down. Did you see, Mr. Ward? I did it. I saw. That was perfect. They got ice cream from a truck in the parking lot. Chocolate for Liam, vanilla for Ethan. They sat on a bench watching the waves and eating their cones. This is the best day, Liam said, ice cream on his chin. Yeah, Ethan agreed. It really is. Mr. Ward? Yeah, buddy? Are you going to stay, like, keep coming to see us? The question was careful, like Liam was afraid of the answer. Yeah, I'm going to stay. Promise? Promise. Liam smiled, satisfied, and went back to his ice cream. They built one more sandcastle before it was time to go home. a big one with towers and a moat. Liam stood back to admire their work. "We're a good team," he declared. "The best team," Ethan agreed. They got back to Naomi's house at 3:25. She was waiting on the porch trying to look casual, but clearly relieved to see them. "We're back," Liam announced. "We built the biggest sandcastle, and I learned to skip stones, and we got ice cream." "Sounds like you had fun." "The best fun. Can Mr. Ward come to dinner?" Naomi looked at Ethan. He could see the calculation in her eyes. How much to let him in? How fast to go? "If your mom's okay with it," Ethan said. "I don't want to impose." "It's not imposing," Naomi said slowly. "I was actually going to make spaghetti, there's plenty. Then I'd love to stay." Dinner was easy and comfortable. Liam told Naomi all about their day in great detail. Ethan helped wash dishes while Naomi dried, like a real family might do. When it was time for Ethan to leave, Liam hugged him, just wrapped his small arms around Ethan's waist, and squeezed. "Thank you for today," Liam said. Ethan's throat was tight. "Thank you for letting me be part of it." Naomi walked him out to his car. The sky was turning pink. "He's going to be upset when you leave," she said quietly. "I know. Are you sure you can handle this? Being in his life means he's going to get attached. And if you leave, I'm not leaving. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true." He turned to face her fully. "Naomi, I know I screwed up 6 years ago. I know I don't deserve your trust. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And someday maybe you'll believe that." She looked at him for a long moment. Then quietly, "Maybe someday I will." He drove away feeling like they'd crossed some invisible line. They weren't where they used to be, but they were somewhere new, somewhere with possibility. The week that followed was the best week of Ethan's life. He came to the house almost every day, sometimes just for an hour, sometimes for dinner, sometimes just to read Liam a bedtime story. He learned that Liam was afraid of thunder, that his favorite color was blue, that he had a blanket he'd had since he was a baby that he still slept with every night. He learned that Naomi still took her coffee with too much sugar, that she hummed when she cooked, that she had a small scar on her wrist from when she fell off a bike in 3rd grade. He learned how to be part of their lives without pushing too hard, how to show up without overwhelming, how to earn trust one small moment at a time. On Friday afternoon they went back to the beach, all 3 of them this time. Naomi brought a picnic, sandwiches and fruit and lemonade. They spent hours there, playing in the waves, building sandcastles, telling stories. As the sun started to set, Liam fell asleep on the blanket, exhausted from running around all day. Ethan and Naomi sat watching the sky turn colors. "Thank you," Ethan said softly, "for this week, for letting me in. You're good with him. He makes it easy." "Yeah," she smiled. "He does." They were sitting close, not touching, but close enough that Ethan could smell her coconut shampoo. "Naomi." "Yeah? I need to tell you something." She tensed. "What?" "I still love you." The words came out before he could stop them. "I never stopped. And I know that probably makes everything more complicated, but I needed you to know." She didn't say anything for a long moment, just stared out at the ocean. Then, "Don't." "Don't what?" "Don't say things like that, not yet. We're barely figuring out how to co-parent. I can't think about anything else." "Okay. I mean it, Ethan. If you want to be in Liam's life, that has to be enough for now." "It is enough." He meant it. "You and Liam, however you'll let me be part of your lives, that's enough." She looked at him, searching his face. "Okay." Just as the sun touched the horizon, Ethan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. "You should check that," Naomi said. He pulled it out. Marcus had sent him a message. "Call me, it's important." Ethan called. "We have a problem," Marcus said without preamble. "What kind of problem?" "The photos from last week. Someone sold them to a tabloid. You and Naomi and Liam at the beach, at the fair. Pictures of Liam's face, your face, side by side. They're running with it tomorrow morning." Ethan's stomach dropped. "What?" "Millionaire's Secret Love Child" is the headline. "They're saying you abandoned Naomi when she got pregnant, that you've been hiding your son for years. It's bad, Ethan, really bad. But that's not true. Doesn't matter. The story's out there now." Naomi was watching him, her face pale. "What's wrong?" Ethan hung up and looked at her. "Someone took photos of us. They're publishing them tomorrow." "What?" Her voice was sharp with panic. "Photos of Liam." "Yeah, his face. They're publishing his face." "Naomi," she stood up quickly. "No. No, this can't happen. He's 5 years old. He doesn't deserve this. I'm so sorry. I didn't know anyone was watching." "Of course people were watching. You're a millionaire. Did you really think we could just play family without consequences? I'll fix this. I'll call my lawyers. Your lawyers? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think lawyers can put this back? Once it's out there forever. Liam stirred, waking up. Mama? Why are you yelling? Naomi's face crumpled. She gathered Liam up. We need to go home now. But now, Liam. She started packing up their things frantically. Naomi, wait. Let's talk about this. I trusted you. Her eyes were full of tears and fury. I let you into our lives, and now my son's face is going to be all over the internet. Strangers are going to know his name, where he goes to school. I'll handle this, I promise. Your promises don't mean anything. She picked up Liam and started walking toward the parking lot. Mama, you're squishing me. Naomi, please. She turned back. Don't call me. Don't come to the house. Don't show up at Liam's school. Just stay away from us. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. Tears were streaming down her face now. This is exactly what I was afraid of. You coming in and ruining our peaceful life. We were fine before you showed up. We'll be fine again. She got in her car and drove away, leaving Ethan standing alone on the beach as the sun disappeared below the horizon. He stood there for a long time, watching the spot where her car had disappeared. Then he pulled out his phone and called Marcus back. I need you to do everything you can to stop this story. Ethan, I don't care what it costs. I don't care what we have to do. That little boy doesn't deserve to have his life torn apart because of me. He spent the rest of the night making phone calls, trying to contain the damage. But Marcus was right. Once a story was out there, you couldn't take it back. By morning, Ethan's face was on 3 different websites. So was Naomi's. So was Liam's. The headlines were cruel. Millionaire's secret son. The love child he tried to hide. Abandoned mother speaks out. She hadn't spoken out. They'd just made things up. Ethan's phone exploded with calls and messages. His mother, his PR team, business associates, everyone wanting answers. He ignored them all. He sat in his hotel room staring at a picture of Liam smiling on the beach, and he whispered to the empty room, I lost them again. 2 days passed, 2 of the longest days of Ethan's life. He stayed in his hotel room, watching the story spread across the internet like wildfire. More photos appeared, old pictures from college that someone had dug up, screenshots of his business deals, articles questioning his character, his morals, everything. The worst part wasn't what they said about him, it was what they said about Naomi, about Liam. Gold digger, opportunist, using an innocent child for money. None of it was true. All of it was poison. Ethan called Naomi 17 times. She didn't answer. He texted. Nothing. He drove by her house. Her car wasn't there. Noah finally answered on the 18th call. She doesn't want to talk to you, Noah said, his voice hard. I just need to know they're okay. They're not okay. Reporters showed up at Naomi's work, at Liam's school. We had to pull him out of class because photographers were waiting at the gate. The guilt was crushing. Noah, I'm so sorry. I never wanted this. But it happened anyway. Because you couldn't just stay away. You had to push your way back into their lives. Liam is my son. A son you didn't know about until 2 weeks ago. Naomi did just fine without you for 5 years. She'll do fine again. Let me fix this, please. You can't fix this. The damage is done. Noah's voice softened slightly. Look, I know you didn't mean for this to happen, but sometimes good intentions aren't enough. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. He hung up. Ethan sat on the edge of the hotel bed with his head in his hands. Everything was falling apart. Again. Marcus showed up an hour later with coffee and grim news. The story's not dying. If anything, it's getting bigger. He handed Ethan his tablet. You need to see this. A new article had just posted. This one had quotes from anonymous sources, claiming Ethan had known about Liam all along, that he'd paid Naomi to stay quiet, that he'd only acknowledged his son after being publicly exposed. All lies. Who's saying this? Ethan demanded. No idea. Could be anyone. A disgruntled employee. Someone looking for their 15 minutes of fame. It doesn't matter who. What matters is people are believing it. So what do I do? Marcus looked at him seriously. You have 2 choices. 1, stay silent. Let your lawyers handle it. Eventually the story will die down and you can move on with your life. Or you tell the truth, publicly, on camera. No spin, no PR team softening the message. Just you, being honest about everything. My PR team will never agree to that. No, they won't. They'll say it's too risky. That admitting fault makes you vulnerable to lawsuits, that you should protect yourself first. Marcus paused. But this isn't about business anymore. This is about a woman and a little boy who are being torn apart by lies. You want to fix this? Then stop hiding and tell people what really happened. Ethan stared at the tablet, at the lies being spread about the woman he loved and the son he barely knew. He thought about Liam asking if he was going to stay. Thought about the promise he'd made on the beach. Then he stood up. Set it up. I'll do a press conference tomorrow. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The next morning, Ethan stood in front of his house, the mansion he rarely stayed at anymore, facing a crowd of reporters and cameras. His PR team had tried to stop him. His lawyers had practically begged. His mother had sent a message through her assistant saying she'd disown him completely if he went through with this. He did it anyway. The cameras flashed, microphones were shoved forward, everyone shouted questions at once. Ethan raised his hand, and they quieted. "I'm going to make a statement," he said. "I won't be taking questions after. I just want to set the record straight." He took a deep breath. "My name is Ethan Ward. 2 weeks ago I saw my son for the first time. His name is Liam Carter, and he's 5 years old." More camera flashes. Furious note-taking. "I didn't know he existed." "That's not Naomi Carter's fault, it's mine. 6 years ago I was told by doctors that I couldn't have children. When Naomi and I were together, I made the decision to end our relationship without telling her why. I thought I was protecting her. Instead, I broke her heart and walked away." His voice was steady, but his hands shook. "When Naomi found out she was pregnant, she tried to reach me. I had changed my number, changed my life. I never got her calls. I never knew about my son. That's on me, not her." A reporter shouted a question. Ethan ignored it. "For 5 years, Naomi Carter raised our son alone. She worked hard to give him a good life. She never asked me for money, never tried to use Liam to get anything from me. She's not a gold digger. She's not an opportunist. She's an amazing mother who did everything right while I did everything wrong." He looked directly into the cameras. "The articles you've been reading are full of lies. Naomi never hid my son from me. I disappeared from her life before she even knew she was pregnant. Everything that happened is because of choices I made 6 years ago." His voice cracked slightly. "Liam is innocent in all of this. He's a 5-year-old boy who likes the ocean and wants to be a marine biologist. He doesn't deserve to have his picture plastered across the internet. He doesn't deserve any of this attention." Ethan paused, gathering himself. "I'm asking, no, I'm begging, all of you to leave them alone. If you want a story, I'm right here. Ask me anything. Say anything about me, but please leave Naomi and Liam out of it. They deserve to live their lives in peace." A reporter shouted, "Are you seeking custody?" "No, I'm seeking the chance to be a father, if Naomi will let me." "Will you marry her?" "That's not your business. That's between me and her." "What about your mother?" She's been quoted saying, "My mother is wrong." Ethan's voice was firm. "Naomi Carter is one of the best people I've ever known. Liam is my son, and I would give up everything I have, my money, my business, my family name, if it meant I could be part of their lives." The reporters erupted with more questions. Ethan turned and walked back into his house, closing the door on the chaos. Marcus was waiting inside. "That was either the bravest or the stupidest thing you've ever done. Maybe both. Your phone's going to explode in about 10 minutes. "I know." Was it worth it? Ethan thought about Liam's smile, about Naomi's careful trust that he'd destroyed. "I don't know yet, but I had to try." Across town, Naomi sat in her brother's living room, watching Ethan's press conference on her phone. Liam was in the next room playing with Noah's kids, safe and distracted. Aunt June sat beside her. They'd both been watching in silence. When it ended, Naomi put the phone down with shaking hands. "Well," Aunt June said, "that was something." He told the truth. Yes, he did, in front of everyone. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. Why would he do that? His reputation, his business, because some things matter more than reputation. Aunt June took Naomi's hand. That man just stood in front of the world and admitted he was wrong, admitted he was a coward, admitted everything. You know how hard that is for someone with pride. I was so angry at him. You had a right to be. He put you and Liam at risk. But he didn't mean to. No, he didn't. Aunt June squeezed her hand. The question is, what are you going to do now? Naomi wiped her eyes. I don't know. Do you still love him? That's not fair. Life isn't fair, but it's still a valid question. Naomi thought about the week they'd spent together, the way Ethan looked at Liam, The way he'd learned to skip stones just so he could teach his son. The way he'd stood up to his mother. I never stopped, she admitted quietly. Even when I was angry, even when I hated him, part of me never stopped. Then maybe it's time to stop running. What if he hurts us again? What if he doesn't? Aunt June stood up. You can't protect yourself from pain by avoiding love. Trust me, I've tried. All you end up with is a safe, lonely life. She left Naomi sitting there, thinking. That evening, there was a knock at Noah's door. Noah answered it and came back looking surprised. There's someone here to see you. If it's a reporter, it's not. Naomi walked to the door. Charlotte stood there looking nervous and out of place in designer clothes that cost more than Naomi made in a month. Hi, Charlotte said. I'm sorry to just show up. I know this is weird. What are you doing here? Can we talk? Just for a few minutes? Naomi glanced back at Noah, who shrugged. She stepped outside onto the porch and closed the door behind her. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. I saw Ethan's press conference, Charlotte finally said. So did everyone. Yeah, Charlotte smiled sadly. He loves you. He always did. Charlotte, let me finish, please. She pulled an envelope from her purse. These are letters. Ethan wrote them to you. After you broke up, he never sent them. How do you have them? He kept them in a box in his closet. When I was packing up my things from his place, I found them. She held out the envelope. You should read them. Naomi took it with trembling hands. Why are you giving these to me? Because you deserve to know the truth. All of it. Charlotte's eyes were kind, despite the pain in them. I loved Ethan. I really did. But I always knew I wasn't his first choice. There was always this shadow between us, this thing he wouldn't talk about. Me, you, and the life he gave up. Charlotte looked out at the street. When I saw you at the wedding, saw the way he looked at you, I knew. I'd always known, really. I just didn't want to admit it. I'm sorry about the wedding, about everything. Don't be. You saved me from marrying someone who would have spent our whole marriage wishing I was you. She smiled, but it was real this time. Read the letters. Then decide what you want to do. She walked back to her car and drove away. Naomi went inside and locked herself in the bathroom. She opened the envelope with shaking hands. There were 7 letters, all addressed to her, all dated from the weeks and months after their breakup. She read the first one. Dear Naomi, it's been 3 weeks since I ended things. 3 weeks since I lied to you. 3 weeks since I watched your heart break and did nothing to stop it. I want to tell you why, I want to explain, but the shame is too big. How do I tell you I'm broken, that I can't give you the future you deserve? The doctor said never. That word keeps echoing in my head. Never children, never a family, never the life you talked about. So I let you go. I told myself it was noble. It feels like cowardice. I love you. I'll always love you, even if you never know why I walked away. Naomi's vision blurred with tears. She read the second letter, the third, the fourth. Each one was filled with pain and regret and love. By the 7th letter, she was sobbing. Dear Naomi, it's been a year. I saw you today. You were at the coffee shop near campus with your friends. You were laughing. You looked happy. I almost walked over, almost told you everything, but I stopped myself. You're moving on, building a life without me. That's what I wanted, right? For you to be happy. So why does it hurt so much? I hope you find someone who deserves you, someone whole, someone who can give you everything I can't. I'll love you forever, even from a distance. E. The letters were dated months apart. The last one was from 3 years ago. He'd kept writing to her, even years after they broke up, even though he never sent them. Naomi pressed the letters to her chest and cried, for the boy who was too scared to fight for love, for the girl who thought she wasn't worth fighting for all the years they'd lost, and for the chance they might have to get it back. The next day was Liam's kindergarten end-of-year program, a little ceremony where the kids sang songs and got certificates. Naomi almost didn't go. The press attention had died down some after Ethan's conference, but she was still nervous about being in public. But Liam had been practicing his song for weeks. She couldn't miss it. They arrived early and sat in the back, hoping to stay unnoticed. The auditorium filled up with other families. The lights dimmed. The kids filed onto the small stage in their matching T-shirts. Liam spotted Naomi and waved enthusiastically. She waved back, her heart swelling with love. Then she saw him. Ethan stood at the very back of the auditorium, half hidden behind a pillar. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, clearly trying not to be recognized. Their eyes met across the crowded room. He looked like he might leave, like he wasn't sure he was welcome. Liam had spotted him too. His whole face lit up. He waved at Ethan with both hands. The teacher organizing the kids on stage noticed. Mr. Ward? Would you like to come up front? We have a seat reserved for family." Every head turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd. People recognized him, pulled out their phones. Ethan hesitated. Naomi made a choice. She stood up and waved him over. "There's room here." He walked down the aisle to where she stood, sat down in the empty seat beside her. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't make me regret it." The program started. The kids sang about seasons and friendship and growing up. Liam's voice was the loudest, as always. When it ended, the teacher called the kids forward one by one to get their certificates. "Liam Carter," the teacher called. Liam walked up proudly. But before he took his certificate, he looked out at the audience, at Naomi, at Ethan. "Can my parents come up for the picture?" he asked the teacher loudly. The word hit like lightning. Parents. The teacher looked confused. Of course." Naomi's heart was pounding. She looked at Ethan. He was staring at Liam with tears in his eyes. They walked up together. The whole auditorium watched. Liam stood between them for the photo, grinning wide, one hand holding his certificate, one hand reaching for each of theirs. The camera flashed. Afterward, in the lobby, parents and kids milled around eating cookies. Several people approached Naomi and Ethan, some with sympathy, some with curiosity, most just wanting to see if the rumors were true. Liam dragged them over to meet his teacher. Mrs. Patterson smiled warmly. "Mr. Ward, Ms. Carter, Liam is such a joy to have in class." "Thank you," they said in unison. "He's talked about you quite a bit this week, Mr. Ward, about how you taught him to skip stones. He's a fast learner." "He certainly is." She handed Liam a cookie. "Liam, why don't you go show your friends your certificate?" Once Liam was out of earshot, she turned back to them. "I don't normally get involved in parents' personal lives, but I want you both to know what matters to me is that Liam is happy. And this week, despite all the chaos, he's been happy, because he knows he's loved." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "Whatever you two figure out," Mrs. Patterson continued, "keep that little boy's heart at the center. That's all that matters." They thanked her and moved away. In a quiet corner, Ethan turned to Naomi. "Can we talk, please? Just 5 minutes." She looked at Liam, who was showing his certificate to his friend Tyler. "Okay, 5 minutes." They walked outside to the school courtyard. The sun was bright. Kids' laughter echoed from the playground. "I'm sorry," Ethan started, "for the media circus, for putting you and Liam at risk, for all of it. I know you are. I watched my press conference, trying to protect you, trying to fix things, but I realize now I should have asked you first. I keep making decisions without consulting you, just like 6 years ago." Naomi was quiet. "I'm trying to be better," Ethan continued, "but I keep screwing up. I don't know how to do this, how to be a father, how to be whatever you need me to be." "I read the letters," Naomi said softly. He looked up, surprised. "What letters?" "The ones you wrote to me. Charlotte brought them." "Oh," his face flushed. "Those were private." "I know, but she thought I should see them." Naomi moved closer. "You loved me. I never stopped. You were scared, terrified. You thought you were protecting me by leaving." "Yeah. Stupid, right?" "Yeah." She smiled through tears. "Really stupid." They stood there as kids ran past them, as teachers herded families toward the parking lot, as the normal world kept moving around them. "I was so angry at you," Naomi said, "when the photos came out, when our lives got turned upside down. I blamed you for everything. You had every right to. But it wasn't all your fault. I could have tried harder to find you 6 years ago, could have fought for us. I didn't. I let my hurt and my pride get in the way. Naomi, let me finish." She took a breath. "I spent 5 years convinced that Liam and I were better off without you, that we didn't need anyone. But this past week, watching you with him, I realized we weren't just surviving. We were missing something, missing you." Ethan's eyes were bright with hope. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm tired of running, tired of being scared." She moved closer still. "I'm saying I want to try, really try, to figure this out together. Co-parenting? Maybe more than that eventually, if you're patient. I can be patient. Can you? Because I'm not ready to jump back into a relationship. There's too much hurt, too much history. We need to take this slow as you want. And you need to be honest with me. About everything. No more making decisions for me. No more assuming you know what's best. I promise. And Liam comes first. Always. Before us, before your business, before everything." "Absolutely." She searched his face. "Do you really mean all of that? Or are you just saying what I want to hear?" "I mean it." Naomi, I would give up everything for a chance to be part of your lives. The money, the business, all of it. None of it matters without you and Liam. She believed him. She could see it in his eyes. The sincerity, the desperation, the love. Okay, she said. Then let's try. Yeah? Yeah. They were standing close now, close enough to kiss. But Naomi pulled back. Slow, she reminded him. Right. Slow. He smiled. Can I at least hug you? She laughed. Yes, you can hug me. He wrapped his arms around her, and she melted into the embrace. It felt like coming home after a long, painful journey. Mama, Mr. Ward, Liam's voice broke them apart. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? They pulled apart, both smiling. Sure, baby, Naomi said. Ice cream sounds perfect. The weeks that followed were different. Better. Ethan came to visit 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes he'd take Liam to the park. Sometimes they'd all have dinner together. Sometimes he'd just help Naomi with errands while Liam was at school. They talked, really talked, about the past, about their fears, about what they wanted for the future. Slowly, trust rebuilt, like a bridge being constructed one plank at a time. One evening, Ethan brought his mother. Mrs. Ward looked smaller somehow, less imposing. When she got out of the car, her hands were shaking. You sure you want to do this? Ethan asked her quietly. No, but I'm doing it anyway. They walked to Naomi's door together. Naomi answered, Liam hiding behind her legs. Mrs. Ward, Naomi said carefully. Ms. Carter. Mrs. Ward's voice was stiff, but not unkind. Thank you for agreeing to this. They sat in the living room, awkward, tense. Liam peeked out from behind Naomi, curious. Mrs. Ward looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. Her face softened. He has your eyes, Ethan, she said quietly. And your smile. Yeah, he does. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ward's voice cracked. To both of you. I was wrong. About everything. I was so focused on protecting the family name, protecting Ethan, that I forgot what actually matters. Which is? Naomi asked. Family. Real family. Not money or status or reputation. Just people who love each other. It wasn't much. But it was a start. Liam walked over slowly. He held out a piece of paper. I made this in art class. It was a drawing, 4 stick figures holding hands. Naomi, Ethan, Liam, and one more. That's you, Liam said, pointing to the 4th figure. You're my grandma. Mrs. Ward's eyes filled with tears. I am? Mama says everyone needs a grandma. And Mr. Ward is my... He looked at Naomi, uncertain. Your daddy, Naomi said softly. Mr. Ward is your daddy. Liam's eyes went wide. Really? Really? He turned to Ethan. You're my daddy? Ethan knelt down to Liam's level. His voice was thick with emotion. Yeah, buddy, I'm your daddy, if that's okay with you. Liam thought about it for about 2 seconds. Then he launched himself into Ethan's arms. I always wanted a daddy. Ethan held his son and cried. Naomi cried. Even Mrs. Ward wiped her eyes. I'm sorry I wasn't there before, Ethan whispered into Liam's hair. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. Mrs. Ward cleared her throat. Liam, may I see your picture again? He scrambled over to her with the drawing. See? That's you. I gave you a crown because grandmas are important. A crown. Mrs. Ward smiled through tears. That's very kind of you. Do you want to see my room? I have a rock collection. I would love to see your rock collection. Liam grabbed her hand and dragged her down the hall. Ethan and Naomi were left alone in the living room. Your mother came, Naomi said, almost disbelieving. I told her if she wanted to be part of my life, she had to accept you and Liam. Took her a few weeks to come around, and if she hadn't, then I would have chosen you. He said it simply, like it was obvious. Every time I would choose you. Naomi moved to sit beside him on the couch. We're really doing this, aren't we? Looks like it. It's scary. Yeah, but good scary. The best scary. He took her hand. Is this okay, holding your hand? Yeah, that's okay. They sat like that, fingers intertwined, listening to Liam excitedly explain his rock collection to his grandmother. A year later, the beach was the same one where everything had fallen apart, but today it was different. Today there were white chairs set up in the sand, flowers everywhere, simple, beautiful, real. About 30 people gathered, close friends, family. Liam stood at the front in a little suit, holding a small box very carefully. Ethan waited at the makeshift altar, his heart pounding. Marcus stood beside him as best man. The music started. Everyone turned. Naomi walked down the aisle. No big dress this time, just a simple white sundress that moved with the ocean breeze. Her hair was loose around her shoulders. She was beautiful. Aunt June walked beside her, giving her away. When Naomi reached Ethan, he took her hand. "You're here." "I'm here," she confirmed. The officiant began the ceremony, but Ethan barely heard it. He was too focused on Naomi's face, on the joy there, the peace. When it came time for vows, Ethan spoke from his heart. "Naomi, 6 years ago I made the biggest mistake of my life. I walked away from you because I was scared and stupid and thought I knew best. I lost years with you, years with our son, years I can never get back." His voice was steady but full of emotion. "But you gave me a second chance. You let me back into your life, into Liam's life. You taught me that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, about showing up, about choosing each other every single day." He squeezed her hands. "I don't need a perfect life. I don't need money or status or any of the things I thought mattered. I just need you, you and Liam. That's everything." Naomi was crying, happy tears this time. "I promise to always be honest with you, to never make decisions without you, to put our family first, always." He smiled through his own tears. "And I promise to keep teaching Liam to skip stones, even though he's getting better at it than me." Everyone laughed. Naomi took her turn. "Ethan, when you walked back into my life, I was terrified. I'd spent years protecting my heart, protecting Liam. I didn't want to get hurt again." She wiped her eyes. "But you kept showing up. You kept proving that you'd changed, that you were ready to fight for us." Her voice grew stronger. "You stood up to your mother. You risked your reputation. You chose us when it cost you everything." She looked at him with such love it took his breath away. "I don't need grand gestures or expensive things. I need a partner, a father for my son, a man who will build a life with me based on truth and trust and love." She squeezed his hands. "That's you, Ethan. You're that man, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." The officiant smiled. "Liam, do you have the rings?" Liam stepped forward very seriously and opened the box. "Don't drop them," he whispered loudly to himself. Everyone laughed again. They exchanged rings, simple gold bands. "By the power vested in me," the officiant said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Ethan pulled Naomi close and kissed her as the waves crashed behind them, and their family cheered. When they pulled apart, Liam was jumping up and down. "We're a real family now." "We were always a real family," Naomi said, pulling him into a hug. "Now we're just making it official." They walked back down the aisle together, all three of them, hand in hand in hand. At the reception, just a simple dinner under a tent on the beach, Ethan stood up to make a toast. "Thank you all for being here, for supporting us through everything." He looked at Naomi and Liam. "A year ago, I thought my life was over. My wedding had fallen apart. I'd discovered I had a son I didn't know about. Everything was a mess." He smiled. "But that mess led me here, to this moment, to this family." He raised his glass. "Someone told me once that love built on truth endures. I didn't understand that then. I do now." He looked at Naomi. "Thank you for taking a chance on me, for teaching me that it's never too late to choose love, to choose honesty, to choose us." Everyone raised their glasses. "To truth," Ethan said. "To love, to second chances. To family," Naomi added. They clinked glasses and drank. As the sun set, they walked to the water's edge, the three of them. Liam ran ahead, chasing waves. "You okay?" Naomi asked. "More than okay." Ethan wrapped his arm around her waist. "This is everything I ever wanted. I just didn't know it until I almost lost it." "Well, you're stuck with us now." "Good." He kissed her temple. "That's exactly where I want to be." They watched Liam play in the surf. His laughter carried on the ocean breeze. The past had been painful, full of mistakes and regrets and years lost. But the future was bright, full of family dinners and bedtime stories, of teaching Liam to skip stones and helping him with homework, of building a life together, one honest moment at a time. Not a perfect life, but a true one, and that was everything. As the last light faded from the sky, they turned and walked back toward their family, toward the laughter and music and love, together, finally, forever.